How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and I've just got some final tips that I've been saving up that I think are worth knowing. They're definitely coming in handy for me a bit. One thing I do want to say though, just as like a bit of a disclaimer, I don't think these tips are as game-breaking and always useful as like the first two tips videos. So if this is your first tip video you've seen of mine, I would suggest going and watch that. I'm not monetized or anything, so I'm not trying to push my videos, but they are. If you watch this and say I think the first two tips videos were better, I would agree, but I still think these are too good not to mention, basically. So anyway, we'll get started with the first one. The first one is to basically do with your cargo. I just want to say thanks to 876 for reminding me of this. I had actually already used it. I've done it loads, but for some reason I just completely forgot to add it as a tip. But obviously some places, quite a lot, want you to have 6 pieces of cargo. Obviously, if you've got a trailer, you can only hold 5. There's a couple of ways you can do this. I've always done this with the Navistar, but I'm normally towing like a 4-slot trailer, so I've got a bit more room at the back of my truck. But it doesn't really matter either way. As long as you do this, just put the cargo down, pinch the the crane down on it, and yeah, it's definitely not going anywhere. I've done this 10 or 15 times with the Navistar. It's definitely going to get you by to one mission. Like I say, there is quite a few things. There's one in Drowned Lands in particular with the like nuclear storage containers, but you need 6 of them. And luckily I've seen that and I went with an ANK and a 4-slot trailer. But if you already had one of these close by, like, it's worth knowing. The other option you can do though is stack it on top, and I have to say it does stay on pretty damn well. But what I do as well is push the crane arm down into it. And to be honest, I've extended the crane arm a tiny bit too much. The bit I'm pushing down on, if that was directly above the 5th wheel, or the saddle, the point of rotation would be exactly the same, so my crane arm wouldn't be skidding along the top of the box, it'd just rotate around its own axis sort of thing. But, again, as you can see, it'll definitely get you by, like, if you just can't be arsed doing 2 trips or whatever. Eventually, I could have also had the winch attached to it, but I was testing it to see. Eventually the crane arm slipped to the side and it basically leaves it off. But then the last option as well, you don't even have to do either of that, just attach the crane and get driving. And to be fair, the step toe thing isn't really one for rolling, but it definitely didn't wreck the handling or anything, so you can definitely get by doing this. And the last one, I had to try it for science. I was stacking them like this. To be honest, the top one is probably a little bit excessive. However, I will say at this point, when you disconnect the trailer, it won't let you grab more cargo because you haven't got a trailer to load it on. At which point I was like, well, I can't be arsed disconnecting and reconnecting every time. So this is kind of a real world scenario, because in real life I would have decided I can't be arsed and then just stack them this way instead of, like, I was going to stack 2 rows, like, see if I can move 10, but here still I've got 8 pieces of cargo, which is yeah, a lot more than 5. And when you go around corners, it honestly, bumps and that, it's fine, just corners, it doesn't like the centrifugal force. I don't know if I would have lost the other one if I didn't have that top one on, but you can see here, bumps, no problem. Go around a corner, it doesn't like it. But again, it's options. I wish I knew all these at the start of my playthrough. So the next tip is you might be sat on a gold mine, and this is going to depend how far in the game you are. By the way, my Taiga's duplicated, and I've definitely not been online, so I'll try and work out what the hell's happened, but I've got another Taiga somehow. Anyway, go into your parts, and obviously stuff like engines, I mean that was like 10 odd grand, that's like another 4 or 5 grand. But look at like this gearbox, I've got 10 balanced gearboxes, they're only 1900 each, but there's another 19 grand sat there. And another one is like the tyres, there's quite a lot of them, but I usually sell, like, I've already said to sell like other parts and you can mix and match, but for whatever reason I just left a lot of the stock stuff. Like, I probably thought, oh, it might just be free anyway, like the saddle high and the seismic vibrator thing. I finally went and put the mud tyres on the Taiga. Some guy was telling me the mud tyres are better, and he is right. The reason why I just always have all chained on or whatever is when I buy a truck, the tyre scroll menu is so bloody slow that once I add tyres on a truck, it's like, right, that's your tyres for life, mate, because I ain't going back down that fucking list. So I'll use slicks on Alaska. I am stubborn enough. Once it's got it set, it'll do. But yeah, to be fair, these truck tyres are pretty meaty. So yeah, I sold all the bits and bobs that I didn't need. Mostly, like I say, it was stock stuff that was piling up. I didn't go and sell like all the bits off it. I didn't make everything stock again to try and make this video look like it's better and there's more money sat there. The three main ones were gearboxes. I had a lot of them, wheels, and then in this frame add-ons I had loads of sideboard trailers and cranes and all sorts. As you can see with this Azov as well, I've got the top engine, but for whatever reason I've got the other two, and I sell both of them, and I can't see because it shrinks the screen, but there's about another 18 grand. Quick, another tip as well, this carrier container thing on the back of the Caterpillar, you can carry single cargo in that. It doesn't have to just be a container, and you can carry like the double size cargo, like metal planks. But I just thought that was worth knowing. And as you can see now, when I scroll for everything, they've all still got almost chain tyres, they've all got all their upgrades. I've not tried to make this look better, but as you can see now, I've got 415 grand, and when I started I had 63, so I've just found 352 odd grand's worth of money just sat in my garage, like in, yeah, balanced gearboxes and stock engines. This sort of leads in, it's kind of the same tip, but I just wanted to explain it. When I buy this truck, it's 56,300. This is to do with when you sell a truck with upgrades, you don't get all your money back, but I'm going to show you why. So 56,300, now I'm going to buy this engine for 11,300, which takes the total cost up to 67,600. But when I go to sell it, it only sells for 64,400. So there's 3,200 missing, which obviously some people have been saying, oh, you don't get all your money back, which they're kind of right, but this is sort of half right. This is, if I go back into the engines, obviously the engine I took off sells for 3,200. But it's worth noting, if you just want to keep track of all your money, sell the upgrades off the truck first and then sell the truck. Because say if I sold that cat back before I sold the stock engine, I then haven't got that menu list to sell that engine. So for those of you as well that may have sold trucks, if you can afford to at least buy them back and look, you might have stock engines and all sorts for trucks you've sold, but you now can't, unless another truck shares the same part, you won't be able to sell it unless you get that truck back so you can find that specific engine. But yeah, that was I just thought that was worth knowing as well. This one, to be honest, I quite like this tip and I wish I did know it a lot sooner, but it's driving around with tandem trucks. Like, I never did it. I've probably done I've got a few missions left, but I've done about 200 missions, and I never once intentionally set off with two trucks. They travel just fine through gateways and stuff, but yeah, I always set off with one truck, left 15 other perfectly good trucks in the garage, and then went and tried to do my missions. And obviously if I got stuck, then I'd bring a truck. One thing I do think they need to change is I put it in low range there and put the diffs on, and I don't think the White Western Star copied me, so I think they need to do that so it does what you do. To be honest, this was a bad pair. This was like the fucking Chuckle Brothers. To be fair, that is a particularly meaty rock I got caught on, but what I wanted to do was test it against, obviously if you've seen the White Western Star video, it couldn't get up the hill. Both of these struggle on the hill, but I wanted to see if together they do better. However, my advice would be, don't take two trucks with the same weakness, because it did get up the hill, as I'll show you. That was my first attempt with that trailer with just the White Western Star in the video the other day. Yeah, they do get up, but this thing's just about as gutless as that uphill, so it wasn't a good combination. I did get there eventually, but it took a lot more effort than I would have liked. But I didn't get up with the White Western Star originally, so they are better together. At this point though, I got sick and tired of them too. I was like, alright, let's go and bring a proper truck and we'll test it out properly. So stick the winch on it, and immediately the Taiga is bloody good. It just starts pulling it up. The other reasons why it might be good to set off intentionally with tandem trucks is, one, if I roll either one, I've got the other one right there to roll me back. Secondly, if I started running out of fuel in the Taiga, that White Western Star would most likely have fuel, because I'm doing the bulk of the pulling now. In the Taiga, the Westline, it might be revving a bit, but it's not chucking smoke out. It's not like I'm doing the most work, so I'm probably burning the most fuel a minute. So yeah, I could scavenge a load of fuel out of that, and like I say, just if I roll, I'm not completely screwed. Funnily enough, the White Western Star rolls here. I actually think the trailer went, and those slabs are so heavy. But again, if I did that now, it's like, oh crap, back to Zimnigorsk, bring a truck. But if you go round in pairs, it opens your options up, and as long as the winch is nice and close to the back, it follows you just fine. Like, I take this at a bit of a weird angle and it clips the rock, but like, it's staying behind me. Just a quick one as well, you can attach the winch to a vehicle in front of you and drive off. You don't have to be the vehicle in front, but the steering does get a little iffy, so I wouldn't advise it, but there's a few options where it's handy. So obviously, I know the Taiga is better anyway, but there's a couple of advantages, like that white Western Star can have a crane and a fifth wheel, whereas the Taiga can't. So I could have a crane on the white Western Star now, and yeah, again, I've got more options. I've got extra fuel, I've got extra pulling power. Obviously, even if you're just doing any runs, like 2 trucks worth of pulling power is better than 1, so you might have 2 weak-ish trucks, not to be harsh to them, but you might have like the white Western Star and the Steptoe, or you might have the white Western Star and the Fleet Star, and you might struggle with a... Like, to be fair, the concrete slabs are definitely nice, heavy, dense weight. Like, the wooden planks and that don't feel as bad. The slabs definitely, you can tell that's the heaviest, really. Another reason why it might be handy is, like, this ANK obviously can't have a fifth wheel or anything, and I might be at the other side of a map and I've got a Fleet Star laying around with a trailer, and yeah, I don't have to go back or go and find a trailer store. I've just got the equipment. Normally though, I would leave the Fleet Star if I'm off to do something that's pretty difficult. However, let's say I want to drive the Fleet Star, it kind of defeats the purpose if I'm just towing it with a ANK. What you can do, so if you want to play with your favourite trucks that aren't as powerful, winch the ANK to the back. Right now I'm not even accelerating. If I every time I press triangle, the ANK starts pushing me, which you can probably see where this is going. So right now I can now drive my Fleet Star. I'm enjoying that, or whatever, because I like to mix and match the trucks. I don't just want to keep using the same best ones every mission. If I didn't show you the ANK, you wouldn't even know now that it's behind me giving me a boost, but I'm driving along just fine now. I've got, like I say, another truck for fuel options, tipping options, but yeah, as you can see, it's giving me a good old boost as I'm driving along, which is just nice, because every now and then I might want to take the Fleet Star out, but I don't necessarily want to put up with the lack of speed of the Fleet Star. I'm definitely one for, like, off-roading for the impatient. I like it every now and then, getting stuck and messing around, but I generally, like, I like to go fast enough to where I might die, preferably. Another one is, like, obviously I'm stuck in this hole now, that's what she said, and I couldn't get out on my own, whereas with the ANK behind me, once I start pressing triangle as well and it starts pushing me, I'm straight out of there. I'm only going slow at the minute because I'm in low, but once I put it back in normal, I get going. The ANK I don't think is having any trouble. Even if I had cargo, I don't think it would have. And see, like here, up this hill, again, you wouldn't know if I didn't say the ANK was behind me. It just looks like, bloody hell, Fleet Star's doing alright. And I stopped there. If I had cargo and stuff, the Fleet Star probably would have struggled, whereas with the ANK, it's something powerful, obviously. You wouldn't like the ANK or the Taiga or whatever, or a Voron probably. The only one problem is, just to note, if you hit a tree, the Voron, the ANK's like ramming the trailer off you, basically. I went to go and rescue the trailer, but as is life with the ANK. Right, well, see you later, trailer. We will never meet again. 6 grand just escaped. This last little tip, this, to be honest, has been pissing me off because they keep clipping. The only 2 times they've ever clipped for me is truck darts and this. But in theory, I could tow 3 vehicles, or move 3, if I put the one in the middle, but admittedly that isn't that useful on its own. Where it might come in handy though is this Derry Longhorn. If you a fairly early game and you've got 2 not as meaty trucks as an ANK and a Taiga, again, this is about to clip, this is why it's been pissing me off, but I still think I best tell you, because I don't know, for some of you it might be like, oh bloody hell, that could be it. Yeah, park the Taiga behind the Derry or in front, winch to it. That's definitely the winch point to the Taiga, because it wouldn't show me, it wouldn't let me have the front of the Derry. And obviously it's clipping now, and I was so distracted and pissed off with it clipping, I wasn't even paying attention and I drove into that tree. But imagine now there's a Derry Longhorn between me and the Taiga, that I've now got 2 trucks worth of pulling power on the Derry, because obviously the ANK is pulling the winch that's pulling the Taiga, and the Taiga's also driving. But the other reason it might be handy is I got up here with a Navistar and I could reel the Derry in, but I just couldn't quite get to the road, And every time I disconnected the winch, the bloody Derry Longhorn would go rolling right back down the hill. Whereas when I diswinch or whatever, detach the winch from the Tayga, it leaves its handbrake on, which would mean the Derry Longhorn would stay there if it wasn't bloody clipping. And I could now drive up to the road. I probably couldn't reach the Tayga now with my winch, but I could reach the back of the Derry if it was wedged between us, and I could probably get it up that way. So I just thought I'd throw it in there because, yeah, I had to try and figure another way out to get it up. That's what she said. As for, this is not really a proper tip, but the stock wheels on the Hummer are all excellent, excellent, excellent. So to be honest, I don't think it's as great. Really, like, I'd rather the bigger tyres, and if you look at like the mud tyres and the snow chain tyres, they're pretty good. But if you haven't got the raised suspension and you have to have the smaller tyres, I'd keep the stock ones on. So I think that's about it for today. One thing I suppose this is a bonus tip, but if you are going to fuck things up, at least fuck them up so bad that people wonder how you managed it. I'm not going to lie, Jean-Claude Van Conifer, he fucking outplayed me on this one, didn't he? So it definitely wasn't like that when I bought it. I'd take it back for a full refund, just play it off like, you got one in green I could try, mate. But yeah, they're definitely fighting back. So yeah, don't use 2 trucks pulling power to try and pull a trailer through a tree, because the tree wins. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed, thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.